Greetings, everyone. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock, heavy metal today, and other forms of rock. So, welcome here to Prog Monster. So, we're here. It's a Monday night. Time for that show that we do every Monday night called Look Back at a Classic Rock Album, in which I pick an album that goes back greater than 15 years. That is at least a 2, 1, and a masterpiece album. In this case, it's probably a 2. We're talking about the Scorpions Blackout. This is probably the first Scorpions album I've done. I don't recall doing any other Scorpions albums. Makes sense to do this one because this is the one that I'm most familiar with. My friend had this album. We played it quite a bit when we were teenagers. We were young. I like to think I'm young still, but obviously not as young as it was 42 years ago when this album made an appearance. This album was quite big on the pop charts, on the rock charts, rock and roll album. Great album, got a lot of airplay. Some of the tunes were right up there on the charts as well. So this was released March the 29th, 1982. The Villa San Peccaire studio in France, in Saint-Jacques, France. Also the Dirks studio in Strombine, West Germany. That's how long ago this album is. It was still West Germany back then. Length 36 minutes, closer to 37 probably. Label Harvest and EMI, and produced by none other than Dieter Dirks here. The Scorpions on this album include Klaus Meine on lead vocals, Rudolf Schenker on rhythm guitar, 6 and 12 string acoustic guitar, also doing backing vocals and playing a lead on tracks number 4, 8, and 9. Matthias Jabs, lead guitar and rhythm guitar on tracks 4, 8, and 9. And 6 and 12 string acoustic guitars as well as backing vocals. Francis Bockhaus on bass and backing vocals, and Herman Rarebell on drums and backing vocals. And then you have Don Dokken doing some backing vocals on the album as well. So this is really catchy. I believe this picture is of Rudolf Schenker here with a wraparound and a couple of forks. Okay, so anyways, I do like this album quite a bit. My friend had it as a kid, like I said, well, as a teenager, and we listened to it quite a bit when it first came out. It has 9 tracks on it. I'm going to talk a little bit about them. I'm going to talk about the music a bit before I get into a kind of a detailed analysis of the tracks. So this album is proliferated with heavy riffs, metal-like riffs, lots of catchy hooks, lots of catchy lyrics. The overall sound is heavy. You've got kind of a poppy metal sound at times, but heavier than you would get from a lot of those hair metal bands. So I classify this as metal, maybe not so much in the metal sound as it was back in the day, but definitely a classic rock album. So it starts out, there are, like I said, 9 tracks on it. Starts out pretty strong with Blackout, which is the title track. Really heavy riff on this song. The vocals by Klaus are really good. His voice sounds, it's got its kind of unique sound to it. It's not a voice that you would easily mix up with other vocalists, and he sounds perfectly like himself here, which is fantastic. This is a heavy track and really catchy with all those hooks. The next one is one of the big songs on the album that got a lot of radio play, Can't Live Without You. Probably one of my favorite Scorpion songs, I would have to say. Another heavy, catchy riff on the guitars here. Lots of hooks again. The vocals again are strong. But the solo bits here are really good too, and they actually kind of have a bit of a hooky sound to them as well. Probably my favorite track on the album. It's long been my favorite track on this album, and probably my favorite Scorpion song. There's a couple of others that it would rival that aren't on this album. Then the next track out is the other big hit on the album, No One Like You. This has got a kind of a catchy riff, strong hooks here. This is a radio classic song. Vocals are almost iconic here. The solo is heavy and very catchy, and just like really a song that gets you moving right away. I like this one quite a bit as well. So then the next track is You Give Me All I Need. This has got some catchy hooks too. A bit more ballad-like than the previous three songs. The previous two songs, sorry. Oh no, I was right the first time. Previous three, I forgot about that one. So kind of catchy hooks. More ballad-like than the other songs. But not, I wouldn't call this a ballad. It's got its ballad-like parts to it, but its vocals, but it's not entirely a ballad, nor would you call it a power ballad or anything like that. It's just a heavy song with little ballady-like parts in it. Klaus' vocals are clear and heavy and high here, like high-pitched as well. The next song is Now. This is probably my second favorite track on the album, and a deep cut, very heavy and catchy riffs here. The solo is absolutely heavy and catchy. Vocals are high, typical Klaus Meine sound, lots of hooks in his voice, like catchy parts to his voice. Probably my second favorite song. Next up is Dynamite, another heavy track with lots of hooks. Didn't like this one as much though, but it's still good. Arizona, this is a little bit better of a track, a little bit more to it. Heavy riff with solo bits that are really catchy with, again, a lot of hooks here. Vocals are heavy as well, and the solo is pretty rocking, to be honest with you. Then they kind of start, that's where it kind of starts to slide. The last two tracks are not as crazy about. China White, slow, heavy, melodic, rhythmic part. The song is similar to me as, it kind of reminds me of Kiss's God of Thunder. It has that kind of bombasticness to it, but it's melodic and heavy and crunching. Maybe not as crunching as God of Thunder, but very similar style and very different from the other tracks on the album, which are much more fast-paced and catchy and up-tempo, where this one's a little bit more monstrosity. The last track on the album, When the Smoke is Going Down. This is another melodic, soft track. Then it gets heavier at parts, but it's soft again. A bit of a snoozer to me. I think this is easily the least productive song on the album. The vocals are loud and heavy. There's some riffy parts to it, but it's to me, I just find this song has never really interested me. That's not catchy. The Scorpions, some bands, I like them to try all kinds of different stuff. But the Scorpions, I really like that heavy riffing stuff that they do. So when they're not doing it, they kind of lose me a bit. So anyways, that's it for the Scorpions Blackout album. If you like this episode, please hit the like and subscribe. Any comments about this album or the Scorpions in general or anything I've said, you can make that comment below. Any stories you got to say about them, that's good too. I never actually seen these guys, although I had a chance once. My friend got tickets and I was supposed to go, and I couldn't get out of work, so somebody else went instead. So I never did get to see them, but that's life's tough edges sometimes. Anyways, please hit the notification bell, and we will see you next Monday night for another look back at another classic rock album. Have yourself a good one. Take care and goodbye.